Hello everyone, and thank you so much for being with us for our brand new 21-day prayer focus. We had something incredible happen this past Sunday, so if you haven't watched Sunday, I implore you to please go watch the replay so you can get the full context and the full understanding, because it really was something special. And it wasn't just special because it affected my dear brother, Tobias Lyons, and sort of highlighted him, but there was a wonderful word that came out for him about him being contained in a way, and how worship would be the key for him breaking out of this. And while it was a personal word for him, he was brought up and spotlighted in that way. We have to know that this is something that happens for us corporately as well. And the Lord is really trying to show us something and highlight something. So, Tobes, if you would just sort of help us understand and open us up to what it was like the Lord was doing, was saying to you, and how that sort of relates to us as the body.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty excited about this because it is so corporate, and like my job here is to really like account for the body, like dealing directly with people. And when this word was coming forth on Sunday, like as much as I was inhaling it, like for me, and trying to be like, this is the word of the Lord, like for where I am positioned personally, I was thinking just about the body and thinking about, okay, Lord, like this is such a passing over moment, like such a defining moment for us, because there's a couple key words in like this focus, but the title of this focus is to be liberated, right? Like, and who doesn't want to be liberated?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, who is not looking for another like step of liberation?
Yeah.
And immediately, right, like after this word, I go back down and I sit on the front row, and my first question to the Lord is like, okay, like how? Like how, what does this mean? What does this look like? And I know that I can ask the Lord that because I know he'll like give an answer. You know what I mean? And like he'll show you the way, and there doesn't have to be any striving and trying to figure out like, okay, how in the world am I going to worship in a new way that's going to be so strong that it's going to generate heat that's going to melt the seals of this box. You know what I mean? Like these are the things that are going through my head, but it's also like I can rest in the fact that I know that if the Lord said this is what needs to be done, that he'll also line out the way that it needs to be done.
He is faithful.
He is faithful, dude. And so this morning when I got up and I was just praying like about it and just like asking him just the basic questions of it, like, okay, Lord, like practically, like let's talk about what is inside of me that I can go further in. Like what aspect of worship is inside of me that I have known, or even that I have not known, that I can press into a new like domain in a sense, like so that I can increase pressure inside of this box. It's like I don't want to just be moving around and living inside of this thing, but if there's an opportunity to break it from the inside out, then break me from the inside out, so that when I am broken, all of that, like it's like atmospheric pressure just like builds and builds and builds inside of this thing until the structure that is encased around you like can't hold it, because you are the force, like you are the power. The Spirit of God has broken in you, and so it's coming out of you and breaking past this structure. And he immediately basically just said, like, go read the story of David and Michal, like, and I was like, okay. And that immediately says to me, there's an aspect of movement, there's an aspect of becoming undignified in worship, in praise, in celebration, that like I am going to have to be very intentional about every single day. And one of the things that I asked the Lord, I was like, don't let me define that though. right? Like, don't let me confine it to my understanding of what that means to be undignified and to dance around, but create in me something that manifests what that is supposed to look
Yes.
like.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I have so many ideas of what maybe that could be,
Sure.
but it's not necessarily about manifesting the ideas as much as it is about hearing what the Lord is saying to do in that, and then really just doing it, but doing it with everything that you are, right? Like, bringing it to such a fullness that it would make others around you like contemptible, right?
Yes.
It's just like, I hate what they are doing because they are doing it so in freedom and so in liberty, and I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, I can't
You know,
experience
I
that.
can't
Yeah.
experience that, you know? And so this is what I believe this 21 days is about. It's about finding that component of praise, finding that component of celebration and worship that is so far outside of ourselves that we truly enter into like this portal of revelatory worship that breaks past who we are and fully just manifests and exhibits and expresses the Spirit of God through us in some sense. And what I love about that story, and that it's in 2 Samuel chapter 6, but when you look at some of the words, when David was first bringing the ark in, it uses the word in the Hebrew Bible, in the Jewish Bible, it uses the word celebrate, right? And it talks about how they had the lyres and the timbrels and the cymbals and, you know, and all of these things going on. But it was a wrong order of worship, right? And it caused the ark ultimately to be lost for 3 months, you know, not lost, but put aside for 3 months. And then David got right. He saw, okay, I actually need to bring this thing back in. Like, it needs to be positioned properly. The glory needs to be positioned properly for the future. And so he goes and he gets the ark, and he does it in the right order. And when it talks about how they worshiped and how they presented their celebration and their praise, that it uses two different words throughout the rest of that context when it talks about him dancing and when it talks about him spinning. And part of that is spinning and leaping, and which gives the reference of it's just completely undignified.
Yes.
You know, it's just like, I am in such a state of freedom and such a state of liberty because I have figured out the order that God wants me to move in. I have figured out how this glory is going to come in and penetrate everything that is in my sphere of authority, everything that the Lord has put in my hands. I have figured out how I'm supposed to bring all this in so that it can set me and set the kingdom up for the future. And it, you know, and I just envision this corporate mass worship of complete, just undignified, just expression that the enemy doesn't know what to do with. He can't deal with it because it is so wrapped up in the freedom and the expression and the liberation of the Spirit of God inside of us.
Yes, it's the fullness of joy. You know what I mean? But that is, I think, what has become so important to me. Like, even after that word was being given to you, and like I was just like, as your brother, right? I'm listening to that, and that's obviously, I'm painting it like a certain way in my mind and thinking about you and your life. But then I'm also thinking about it from me and my life and my own context as like as part of the corporate body, like what this word means to me as well. And I'm just thinking, like, for so many people, the idea of worship is like unilateral in the sense that they think it can only be happening like in terms of like music or in terms of something along those lines. Like, someone has to lead them through like something. There has to be a worship leader. There has to be like music. There has to be all these sorts of things. But the Lord has been like taking me through this process of understanding like what worship like truly is. And there are aspects of worship, and I think are so important for this in terms of being able to do what you were saying and generate that spiritual pressure in order to break those boundaries, break the glass box that is like encasing us. Because really, it's all of the boundaries we put like on ourselves, because we think we can go as far as we want, but really we're only reaching like a certain point, right? And part of that comes from my preconceived understanding, or what I have come to believe certain doctrinal things are and what they mean for my life, and worship being one of those. And worship is not contained to only like singing or playing the guitar or the piano or being led by a song or being led by a leader. It is really, like, to me, it's like any moment you are coming together, you are coming to the Father, or you are coming together with other believers, and you are testifying like of the Lord, or talking about the Lord, or it like reverentially like just experiencing the Lord between two people. Like that is worship in itself. It's any time you are gathering together to give honor to the Lord, like in any way, like when you are sharing a testimony, or when you are just like gratitude and thankfulness like between like one another to the Lord, like that is all worship, like that is all incense. And in that context, like that is how the candle like stays burning. Like that is how like that incense that was like always in the tabernacle, to me, like that is what it is. It is like a constant offering, like a constant giving up of praise and of like gratitude and of thankfulness, and like all those aspects are aspects of worship. And I think when we can sort of get past the idea of, and I don't even think like it's something people are like trying to do, like, oh, I can only worship in this way. Like, I don't think people think that way. But when you open yourself up to see worship in every aspect of your life, as every aspect of your life, like we're saying, like between friends, or when you're giving, or like when you're worshiping corporately, all of those things are pushing forward that process of generating that spiritual pressure within you to help break you out of the box, of the containment that you don't even know that you're in.
Yeah.
And one of those aspects too, like what you were talking about, like with David, is that joy. It's like that just pure jubilance. And like when you were saying that, I was just hearing the word, like it's like ecstasy, right? It is like the redemptive aspect of just like pure bliss. And those are not words you hear often, like in the church, like ecstasy and like bliss, those things, because we sort of like, they sound like kind of weird. They sound like something we're maybe not supposed to experience, or maybe something that's been like held captive, but it is something, like it is what David was experiencing when there is like the fullness of joy. Like he's just experiencing like pure joy, like pure bliss, pure ecstasy. And the only thing to do is just to like offer like every part of you up. And in that way, it's like, yes, it is completely undignified, because it's like, all the people are looking at this like their leader and thinking like he's acting like a crazy person. Like, how do I follow a crazy person? But it's just part of experiencing like the fullness of joy.
Yeah. And I think that lends to, part of what the Lord is pushing for us in this 21 days, is that component of worship in and of itself is really just stepping outside of yourself.
Yeah.
Like it is being so given to the Lord, so aligned and in covenant with Him, that who you are can be completely humbled at any moment, because who you are is His. And if this is what is needed to express to Him the fullness of what He is doing, then it's like, take everything that I am, and I'm going to step completely outside of any frame of context that my human person like thinks through, and I am just going to step right outside that shell and just humiliate myself in this realm, knowing that as I'm offering it up to the Lord from into a spiritual realm and into this context, that it's literally going to change that physical realm that I'm stepping out of. And so it's saying, okay, like in this 21 days, what the Lord is pushing us to is saying, how can you get outside of yourself a little bit more? Like how each day, how
Yeah.
are you going to step
good.
outside of yourself? Because it's really like our agreement, in a sense, with the enemy that is letting this construct in some way
Yes.
stay up around us. You know, whether it is self-inflicted, whether we have built this thing ourselves, or whether we have moved outside of our alignment with the Lord and allowed the enemy to build it.
Yeah.
You know, and whichever side of the fence you're on, it really doesn't matter
Yeah.
because there's a pathway out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, like, that's something that I feel like the Lord is saying is, like, each day, just give me a little bit more of yourself. You know, a little bit more of yourself, you know? And so this morning, like, when I got up, I was like, I know that I'm going to have to move. Like physically move, physically dance, physically do something, because this is a passage you took me to. I know that there's prophetic representation that'll be necessary for me to do in that sense. And so I just got like in my room and I just started like twirling around, like just spinning, just dancing, jumping up and down. You know what I mean? I didn't have music on.
Yeah.
I didn't need it,
Yeah.
you know, but I said, Lord, like I can move. So here is the best that I can give you. Like, here is my humiliation in the midst of my home, in the midst of like something that I wouldn't normally do in my prayer time. Not that I haven't, you know, but it's just like, you know, it's just outside of myself, outside of my norm, you know. But here is what I have to give. Here is how I am humbling myself before you, saying, if this is what you want from me, take all of it. And I knew that I was like, I'm going to dance until my physical body temperature gets hot. I am going to move until I feel radiating pressure coming off of my body, right? Like I want the truest prophetic manifestation of this heat that I can possibly get. And so I did it until I started sweating, right? Like until my physical body temperature got so hot that I started sweating, and I was like, okay, there is me. Like there is me. So like melt some of the seals. Like melt the seal with this offering, because that's what worship is, right? It's just sacrifice. It's stepping outside of yourself and giving yourself the best of yourself to the Lord.
Yeah. And I'm so excited for this focus in a way that not sure I have been, and it's been a while since we've done one, but I'm excited for this one in the sense that, like, you, talking to all you out there, you're going to see so many different aspects of worship that I think are going to like really, and I mean, like we all are, but it's going to really help us see things in a new way and understand like just what you're talking about, like seeing the idea of worship from many different people, like many different people's like places in life, like where they are, like some circumstances. Because I'll tell you, like what we are talking about, like what Tobes was talking about, like the fullness of joy and what he's doing, stepping outside of himself, it has nothing to do with your circumstances. Like it has nothing to do with like what you like would want to be able to do or what you would want to be able to give. It is all about like what you have to give like right now. It is not about like, man, I just wish I could do like more, or man, I wish I was in a better place so that I could do such and such or give such and such or create such and such. Like that is not what this is about at all. It's like this really is about breaking out of the walls to get you to those places, to get you to like all the blueprints and the ideas of the words, like the prophetic words of the futures that God has given you, like the words spoken over your life. Like this is like what we are doing through these 21 days is really how you get to those.
That's right.
It's how you break out of the things that have been holding you down, have been holding you captive in such a way that you can now like, oh, like I can pursue, I can reach further. I can get past like all the crap like I've been dealing with, like all of like the self-inflicted wounds and walls and barriers that I have allowed, like you were saying, like whether it's like the enemy just like immediately putting them there or whether it's something I've sort of built up. It doesn't matter because they're doing the same thing. But this process, these 21 days is exactly how we get rid of those. This is exactly how we reach the future, how we build more, how we reach out and attain like the promise that the Lord has designed for us. So like I was saying, I am so excited for these next 21 days, and I'm excited for all of us that we're going to get to see so many different aspects of that. Like, you're going to see like incredible music, like incredible worship, incredible discussions. Like, it's just going to be unlike anything we've ever really done before. And I think you're going to see how it changes even the sort of like weekly standard of like the normal services that we have.
Yeah, because it moves into other realms.
Yes.
Right? Like it has to move into other realms. And so let me speak straight here, right? Like, let me just say that do not let the enemy, his contempt and his words that will come after you, they will come for you.
Yes.
They will try to stop you from putting in the practical application of moving through these 21 days. That is his purpose. He wants to steal, he wants to kill, and he wants to destroy. And this opportunity, this 21 days, the Lord has purpose for your life. The Lord has said, if you will move with me, if you will follow the ark, let the ark go first, let my glory go first. If you will stay behind my glory and just move with me through these 21 days, then you will break out of the structure that has confined you for the past seasons, however long that has been. However long that has been. This could be generations. Do you hear me? This could be generations. Because when Chuck released the word, he said the prophetic starts what? It goes personal, then it goes corporate, then it goes territorially, and then it goes generationally. Which means these words, this prophetic word and time that we are in can break generational curses off of your bloodline. And the Lord is saying, move with me through these 21 days. Do not buy in to the lies. Do not buy in to the contempt. You have what is inside of you to practically apply what is needed to move through the 21 days of worship. Don't overthink it, just act. I know sometimes acting can be the hardest part, like putting it into play is sometimes the hardest part of this whole journey we're on. But the Lord is saying, just take the step and do it. Just do something and he'll figure it out for you along the way.
Amen. That's all you need to hear from us, I think. Just be looking forward to the next 21 days. Just stay involved, stay current. We're going to be sending out the focus. You'll get everything you need. So please just participate. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
All right.